Elaine Moore sat on the cold sidewalk of Main Street with a cardboard sign in her lap. The sign said, "I used to be somebody." But nobody looked at her anymore. 20 years. That's how long she had been sitting on this same street corner in Arborville. 20 years of watching people walk past her like she was invisible, like she was a ghost. Elaine was a black woman with short, gray hair and skin that looked like old leather from too many days in the sun and too many nights in the rain. Her clothes were torn and dirty. Her shoes had holes in them. She smelled bad because she hadn't had a real shower in months. Every morning, she woke up on a bench in the park or in a dark alley behind the grocery store. Her stomach hurt from hunger. Her bones ached from sleeping on hard ground. But she got up anyway. She walked to her corner on Main Street. She sat down. She held up her sign. And she waited. Most people didn't even look at her. They walked right past, staring at their phones or talking to their friends. Some people saw her and quickly looked away, like she was something scary. A few people frowned at her, like she had done something wrong just by sitting there. Sometimes, a mother would pull her child closer and whisper, "Don't stare." Sometimes, a man in a suit would shake his head and mutter, "Get a job." Those words hurt more than the cold, more than the hunger. One time, a store owner came out with a broom and shooed her away from his doorway. "You're bad for business," he said. "Go somewhere else." Where was she supposed to go? The whole world felt like it didn't want her. At night, when the street got quiet, Elaine would lean against a brick wall in the alley and close her eyes. She would try to remember the person she used to be. A soldier, strong, brave, somebody people saluted and respected. But that was a long time ago. So long ago it felt like a dream. Now, she was just the homeless woman on Main Street, the one everyone ignored. One afternoon, something strange happened. Elaine was sitting on her usual corner, holding her sign. Her stomach was growling. She hadn't eaten in 2 days. A teenage boy walked by eating a hamburger. He saw her and laughed. Then he threw his wrapper at her. It hit her in the face. Elaine didn't move. She didn't say anything. She just sat there, feeling the grease from the wrapper on her cheek, feeling worthless, feeling like nothing. And then she heard it, the sound of a car engine slowing down. Elaine looked up. A shiny gold SUV was pulling up to the curb right in front of her. The sun bounced off the gold paint, making it glow like treasure. Elaine had seen plenty of cars on this street, but none of them ever stopped for her. Not like this. The passenger window rolled down, smooth and quiet. Inside, Elaine could see a woman. A black woman, about 40 years old, with kind eyes and a gentle smile. She wore a neat blue jacket, and her hair was pulled back in a bun. "Hello," the woman said. Her voice was warm, like hot chocolate on a winter day. Elaine just stared. Was this real? Or was her tired, hungry brain playing tricks on her? "My name is Alicia West," the woman continued. "I work with veterans. I help people who served our country and who need a little help now." Elaine's heart started beating faster. How did this woman know she was a veteran? Her sign didn't say anything about that. Alicia smiled like she could read Elaine's mind. "I've been driving through Arborville for 3 weeks, and I've seen you here every day. I asked around. Someone told me you used to be in the Army." Elaine's hand started shaking. Nobody had talked to her like this in years. Like she was a real person. Like she mattered. "I run a place," Alicia said. "It's called the Veteran Transitional House. It's a safe place where veterans can stay while they get back on their feet. We have clean beds, hot food, doctors, and people who care. Would you like to come with me?" Elaine's throat felt tight. She wanted to say yes, but she was scared. What if this was a trick? What if Alicia was lying? What if the place was terrible? But then Elaine looked down at her dirty clothes. She felt the emptiness in her stomach. She remembered the teenager throwing trash at her face. What did she have to lose? "Okay," Elaine whispered. Her voice was rough and scratchy from not talking much. "I'll go." Alicia's smile got bigger. "Good. Let's get you home." Home. Elaine hadn't heard that word in so long. Alicia got out of the gold SUV and walked around to help Elaine stand up. Elaine's legs were stiff and sore, but Alicia held her arm gently, like she was someone precious, like she was someone who mattered. As Elaine climbed into the passenger seat, she looked back at her corner one last time, at the spot where she had been invisible for 20 years. Maybe, just maybe, she wouldn't be invisible anymore. The gold SUV pulled away from the curb, carrying Elaine towards something she hadn't felt in 2 decades. Hope. The gold SUV drove through town, past the fancy stores and the tall buildings. Elaine watched through the window, her heart pounding like a drum. She hadn't been in a car in forever. The seat was so soft. The air conditioning felt cool on her hot, dirty skin. But even though it felt nice, Elaine couldn't relax. Her hands gripped her cardboard sign tight. What if this was all a mistake? What if they looked at her and changed their minds? After 20 minutes, Alicia turned down a quiet street with big trees and stopped in front of a large white house. It looked friendly, with a porch and flowers in the yard. "We're here," Alicia said softly. Elaine's stomach twisted with fear. She wanted to run. But where would she run to? Back to the cold sidewalk? Back to being invisible? Alicia came around and opened the door. "It's okay," she said. "Nobody here will hurt you. I promise." Elaine stepped out slowly. Her legs felt wobbly, like they might collapse. Inside the house, everything was clean and bright. The floors were shiny. The walls were painted a soft yellow color, like morning sunshine. Elaine could smell something cooking, something that made her mouth water. A man in a white coat walked up to them. He had a friendly face and gray hair. "Hello, I'm Dr. Garcia," he said. "I'm here to make sure you're healthy. Would that be okay?" Elaine nodded, even though she felt scared. She hadn't seen a doctor in 20 years. Dr. Garcia led her to a small room with a bed and a chair. He checked her heart, her breathing, and looked at the cuts and bruises on her arms and legs. He didn't look disgusted. He didn't look angry. He just looked kind. "You've been through a lot," he said gently, "but we're going to help you feel better, step by step." After the checkup, a woman named Rosa showed Elaine to her room. Her own room. Elaine couldn't believe it. The room was small but beautiful. There was a Rayal bed with white sheets and a soft pillow. There was a window with curtains. There was a closet and a little table with a lamp. "This is yours," Rosa said, "for as long as you need it." Elaine stood in the doorway, frozen. She was afraid to go inside, afraid that if she touched anything, it would all disappear like smoke. Rosa smiled. "It's okay. Go ahead." Elaine took one step, then another. She reached out and touched the bed. It was real, soft and real. Her knees gave out, and she sat down hard on the mattress. Then, for the first time in 20 years, Elaine started to cry. Big, gulping sobs that shook her whole body. Rosa didn't leave. She sat down next to Elaine and put a gentle hand on her back. She didn't say anything. She just sat there while Elaine cried out all the pain, all the loneliness, all the years of being nobody. When Elaine finally stopped crying, Rosa handed her a tissue. "How about a hot shower?" she asked. "And then some dinner?" A shower. Elaine couldn't remember the last time she'd had a real shower with hot water and soap. Rosa led her to a bathroom down the hall. There were clean towels, shampoo, and a bar of soap that smelled like flowers. Rosa showed her how everything worked, then left her alone. Elaine stood under the hot water for a long time. She watched the dirt and grime wash off her body and swirl down the drain. She washed her hair 3 times. She scrubbed her skin until it felt raw and clean. When she looked in the mirror afterward, she barely recognized herself. Her face was clean. Her short gray hair was fluffy. She looked human again. Rosa had left clean clothes outside the door. Soft pants and a warm sweater. They fit perfectly. At dinner, Elaine sat at a big table with 5 other people. They were all veterans too. Some young, some old, some men, some women. Nobody stared at her. Nobody made fun of her. A woman named Carol, who had kind wrinkles around her eyes, passed Elaine a plate of chicken, mashed potatoes, and green beans. Real food, hot food, Elaine ate slowly, afraid she might get sick if she ate too fast. But oh, it tasted so good. Like heaven. That night, lying in her bed with clean sheets, Elaine stared at the ceiling. The room was dark and quiet. She was warm. She was safe. She was full, but she couldn't sleep. Her mind kept racing. Memories kept coming back, sharp and painful like broken glass. She remembered being in the army 25 years ago. She remembered the desert and the gunfire. She remembered the friends she'd lost. She remembered coming home and feeling like she didn't fit anywhere anymore. She remembered her mama's face, disappointed and worried. "Baby, you need help," her mama had said, but Elaine had been too proud, too broken, too ashamed. So she'd left. She'd walked away from her mama, from her life, from everything, and she'd ended up on Main Street with a cardboard sign. Elaine rolled over and hugged the pillow tight. She wondered if her mama was still alive. She wondered if her mama still thought about her, or if she'd given up like everyone else. The next morning, Alicia came to Elaine's room with a cup of coffee. "How did you sleep?" she asked. "Not much," Elaine admitted. Alicia nodded like she understood. "That's normal. Your mind needs time to adjust. Today, if you're ready, we'd like you to meet with a counselor, someone who can help you talk about the hard stuff." Elaine felt her chest tighten. She didn't want to talk about the hard stuff. She wanted to bury it and forget it. But Alicia's eyes were so gentle, so patient. "Okay," Elaine whispered. The counselor's name was Dr. Patel. She was a small woman with dark hair and a soft voice. She didn't push. She didn't ask too many questions. She just listened. And slowly, very slowly, Elaine started to talk. She talked about the war, about the nightmares, about the guilt, about the alcohol she'd used to make the pain go away, about losing her mama, about 20 years of being invisible. Dr. Patel didn't look shocked. She didn't look disgusted. She just nodded and said, "You've been carrying all of this alone for so long. You don't have to carry it alone anymore." Those words cracked something open inside Elaine's chest, something that had been frozen solid for 2 decades. Maybe, just maybe, she didn't have to be invisible anymore. Maybe she could be somebody again. 3 months passed at the Veteran Transitional House. Elaine was changing, not just on the outside, but on the inside, too. Every morning, she woke up in her clean room. She took a shower. She got dressed in clothes that didn't have holes. She ate breakfast with the other veterans at the big table. She went to therapy with Dr. Patel twice a week. She talked about the war, about the drinking, about running away from her mama. Each time she talked, the heavy weight on her chest got a little lighter. She went to group meetings where other veterans shared their stories. Elaine learned she wasn't alone. Other people had nightmares too. Other people had felt invisible too. Other people had lost everything and were trying to find their way back. Rosa taught Elaine how to help in the office. Elaine learned to answer phones, file papers, and help new veterans fill out forms. It felt good to be useful, to be needed. But there was still one thing that haunted Elaine every single day. Her mama. Late at night, Elaine would lie in bed and wonder, was her mama still alive? Did she hate Elaine for leaving? Would she ever forgive her? Elaine was too scared to find out. Then one Tuesday afternoon, everything changed. Alicia knocked on Elaine's door. "There's someone here to see you," she said. Her eyes looked shiny, like she might cry. Elaine's heart started racing. "Who?" "Someone from your family." Family? Elaine didn't think she had family anymore. With shaking legs, Elaine followed Alicia to the living room. A tall black man in his 60s stood by the window. He wore a nice coat and glasses. When he turned around and saw Elaine, his eyes filled with tears. "Elaine," he said, his voice breaking, "is that really you?" Elaine stared at him. She knew that face. Thomas Moore, her cousin. She hadn't seen him since she was in the army. "Yes," he said, stepping closer. "I've been looking for you for 5 years. Ever since Aunt Rose." He stopped and took a deep breath. Elaine's whole body went cold. "Mama?" Thomas nodded slowly, tears running down his cheeks. She passed away 2 years ago. Elaine, I'm so sorry. The room started spinning. Elaine's knees buckled, and she grabbed the back of a chair. Rosa rushed over to steady her. No, Elaine whispered. No, no, no. All these years, she'd told herself she would go back. One day, when she got better, when she was clean, when she was somebody again, she'd go back to her mama and say sorry. But now it was too late. Forever too late. Elaine collapsed into the chair, sobbing. She'd wasted 20 years. She'd thrown away her chance to make things right. Thomas knelt down beside her. Elaine, listen to me. I need to tell you something important. Elaine couldn't look at him. She couldn't breathe. Your mama never stopped loving you, Thomas said firmly. Not for one single day. Elaine looked up, her vision blurry with tears. Thomas reached into his coat pocket and pulled out something small, a silver necklace with a pendant. She wore this every day, Thomas said, placing it carefully in Elaine's shaking hands. Every single day until she died. She said it was for you. She said she was keeping it safe until you came home. Elaine looked down at the pendant through her tears. It was heart-shaped and engraved with one word, hope. She never gave up on you, Thomas continued, his voice thick with emotion. She used to pray for you every night. She told me, Thomas, if you ever find my baby girl, you tell her I forgive her. You tell her she was always somebody to me. Elaine clutched the pendant to her chest and cried harder than she'd ever cried in her life. Her mama had forgiven her. Her mama had loved her, even when Elaine didn't love herself. Thomas stayed for hours. He told Elaine stories about her mama's last years, how she talked about Elaine constantly, how she contacted shelters and organizations trying to find her lost daughter, how she refused to have a funeral without leaving something behind for Elaine. Before Thomas left, he hugged Elaine tight. She'd be so proud of you for getting help, he whispered. So proud. After he was gone, Elaine sat alone in her room, holding the pendant. The word hope glinted in the lamplight. Something shifted inside her. The guilt was still there, but it wasn't crushing anymore. Her mama's love had cracked it open, letting light in. If her mama could believe in her, even after everything, maybe Elaine could believe in herself too. From that day on, Elaine wore the pendant every single day. It reminded her that she was never really invisible. Her mama had seen her. God had seen her. And now, she was learning to see herself. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button. Share it with someone who needs hope today. And subscribe so you never miss stories that matter. 6 months later, Elaine stood in front of a room full of new veterans at the transitional house. Her hands were sweaty. Her heart was pounding. But she wasn't running away. Alicia had asked her to share her story, to help others who were just arriving, scared and broken like she had been. Elaine looked out at the faces. Some were young, some were old. All of them looked lost. She touched the pendant around her neck and began. My name is Elaine Moore, she said, her voice steady and strong. 20 years ago, I sat on a street corner with a sign that said, I used to be somebody. I believed I was nothing. I believed nobody cared. I believed I would die invisible and alone. She paused, looking each person in the eye. But I was wrong. A woman in a gold SUV stopped and saw me, really saw me. She brought me here. And slowly, with help and patience and kindness, I learned the truth. Elaine held up her old cardboard sign. She kept it all this time. But now, she crossed out the old words and written new ones. I am still somebody. You are somebody too, Elaine said, her voice full of emotion. You might not feel like it right now. You might feel invisible, broken, worthless. But you're not. You never were. A young woman in the front row started crying. Elaine walked over and squeezed her shoulder. It's going to be hard, Elaine said gently. Some days you want to give up, but don't, because there are people here who see you, who believe in you, who will walk with you until you can walk on your own. The room was silent except for sniffles and quiet sobs. My mama believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself, Elaine continued, touching her pendant. She left me this, a reminder that hope never dies, And now I'm passing the hope to you." When Elaine finished speaking, the room erupted in applause. People stood up. Some came forward to hug her. Others thanked her through tears. Alicia stood in the back, wiping her eyes and smiling. Later that evening, Elaine stood on the porch of the transitional house, watching the sunset. Rosa came out and stood beside her. "You did good today," Rosa said. Elaine smiled. "I'm trying." "You're doing more than trying," Rosa said. "You're making a difference. You're giving people hope." Elaine looked down at her pendant, the word hope catching the last rays of sunlight. She thought about the 20 years on Main Street, the cold nights, the hunger, the shame, the invisibility. And then she thought about the gold SUV, about Alicia's kindness, about this house full of people who cared, about Thomas and her mama's love that had reached across death to save her. She thought about the new veterans she was helping now, people who reminded her of herself not so long ago. No, she wasn't invisible anymore. She was Elaine Moore, veteran, survivor, helper, friend. She was somebody. She had always been somebody. And now, finally, she believed it. If Elaine's story of transformation inspired you, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to our channel for more powerful true stories of hope and redemption. Your support helps us share stories that change lives.